What's going on, everyone? So, the San Antonio Spurs last year got their franchise guy in Victor Wembanyama. They were able to land a real cornerstone and already arguably a top 15 player. Getting to this NBA draft, and it's like, okay, who are they going to draft? What is going to be the running mate alongside Victor? Kind of grow and establish this hopefully new dynasty for the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, with Victor Wembanyama, you're looking at multiple championships. You're not trying to win just one. You're trying to win 4, 5, 6 plus. And there was several names kind of floating around. And one of the guys that the San Antonio Spurs had on their radar, tons of reports about it, I even covered it here on the channel, was Stephon Castle. That Stephon Castle, the San Antonio Spurs were very interested in. He's the guy that I was kind of hoping that they draft. I was kind of pushing for. I just really like his skill set, his versatility, him being willing to do the dirty work and sacrifice. I just think he'd be great out there on the perimeter on both sides of the basketball. That's who the San Antonio Spurs ultimately ended up drafting at number 4. This, in my opinion, was a great pickup, especially given the landscape, especially given who was left out there, right? You got Vassell that is there, right? You got Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, they're looking for a point guard, which they drafted and ended up trading, and we'll touch on that here in a moment, which was really surprising to me. But again, we'll touch on that here more in a moment. But now you can kind of start seeing this roster taking shape. I still think that they need to get either a center and move Victor to the 4, or get a 4 and keep Victor at the 5. Got to get a point guard. So there's still some work to do if you're the Spurs. But getting Stephon Castle, I mean, he said it himself, right? He's a proven winner. He's a guy that knows how to win. He did it this year. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a guy that I think is going to be very versatile. I wouldn't be shocked, and I said this before, I wouldn't be shocked if we look back in 3 to 5 years and he's the best player in this draft. I mean, he has all the skill sets, all the tools, basically everything you could want from that type of prospect. But also, in a very surprising move, the San Antonio Spurs drafted Rob Dillingham, which I was stoked for. I was like, oh man, now you got your point guard for now and the future in Rob Dillingham, right? Yeah, on top of that, got Vassell, you got Castle, right? You got Victor Wembanyama. Really start seeing this take shape. Like, this is looking really good. Let's go. I thought this was huge. And then we got the report that Dillingham was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. First off, this is huge for Minnesota because Minnesota, they now get somebody that can eventually step up and take the starting spot from Mike Conley. And now you got kind of your backcourt pairing between Rob Dillingham and Anthony Edwards. So now you got some real speed, athleticism, versatility out there in your backcourt, which I think is huge for Minnesota and their plans try to win an NBA championship. Now the San Antonio Spurs on their end, I don't know, like I get why they traded it. So basically they traded it for one protected, one unprotected pick. So that, okay, fine, but I don't know. I almost feel like I'd rather have Rob. Now, the idea is that, like, if this Minnesota's good for a couple years and then in 2030, right, hopefully they're terrible and maybe you get a lottery pick then, or you kind of stack some picks that you can now use to go and leverage and make a trade and pull off for a guy, like a Darius Garland, or maybe you're going and taking DeJounte Murray, right? Maybe they want kind of more of the veteran route because you have such a young team, kind of bring in a more experienced, more veteran-led guard rather than a young guy that's going to kind of go through his hurdles, go through his hiccups. I could maybe see that. I mean, this is a good move by San Antonio, right? I mean, they're getting 2 future firsts. One's completely unprotected, so even if it lands number 1, they get it. The other one is, lightly protected. So they're getting basically 2 what could be quality picks that now they can use to go and pull off some type of trade or make some big splash or kind of hold on to for, a rainy day. But I don't know. I really like the pick of Dillingham. he was a guy that the Spurs were apparently really on also, and they wanted to kind of keep around. So little surprising there, if I'm being honest. But nonetheless, look, they got Castle, you got Victor Wembanyama, you got basically your two foundation pieces going forward. Obviously, they still have a bunch of other young talent, but Castle's the guy that you're drafting after Victor, that these two guys are supposed to be the foundation, are supposed to be the future for this organization. So I like the move of drafting Castle. He's the guy that I was kind of hoping that they would end up acquiring. I do think if Nikola Topic, if he didn't get hurt, he may have ended up being the pick. You're seeing him really starting to slide, really starting to fall as with injury concerns happen. But Castle's a guy, again, I think, in 3-4 years, we might look back and go, man, he was the best player in that 2024 draft. I just think he has all the skill sets, all the tools. He's a dog. The thing that I like the most that you saw Gonzaga at UConn, the things that you saw at UConn were him willing to do the dirty work, doing the hustle plays, chasing down the ball, sacrificing his body, diving on the ball, right? Like he was a guy that showed he's willing to do anything and everything in order to, win. Like he just wants to win. So I thought that this was a really solid pickup. I'm excited to see the future of Castle and see how does he pair alongside and play under Pop's system? How does he play alongside Victor Wembanyama? How does he play alongside Vassell? What does this mean for Keldon Johnson, right? Does this kind of mean that he's out? Does this mean that he's more likely than not getting traded? Spurs are very set up, right? They're in excellent shape. So I'm excited to see how this all takes place. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What were your thoughts? First off, what are your thoughts on the Spurs' actual draft pick in drafting Stephon Castle? Do you really like the pick? Do you not? Do you wish that it was somebody else? And then secondly, what did you think of the trade? What were your thoughts on the Spurs trading or drafting Rob Dillingham and then trading him to the Minnesota Timberwolves for 2 future firsts? Are you excited for that? Or do you think hey, that was a great move, great steal, great opportunity for the Spurs? Now they have, a very compelling package to go get a star or go get, some real complementary pieces. Are they potentially gearing up for a Darius Garland? Because there's a lot of talks and expectations that Donovan Mitchell is going to opt in, or sign a new extension, not opt in, but if he does sign a new extension, then Darius Garland, if he ends up wanting out, Spurs have a ton that now they can kind of use to package together to maybe go make and pull off for Darius Garland. This does kind of feel like maybe that's a position that they're putting themselves in to go make a splash for a actual point guard. Because it's just look, San Antonio, they need a point guard, right? They do. They need a point guard. So the fact that they need a point guard and you drafted a guy that with Dillingham could be, basically your point guard for now and the future, I think it's kind of interesting that that they would then go and trade him for a bunch of future picks unless they have a plan or at least an idea of what they want to do and what they're looking for, right? So my guess is that they're gearing up to go make a push for, like I said, a Darius Garland, or maybe it's a DeJounte Murray, or maybe even Trae Young, right? I mean, there's talks still about Trae potentially going to the Spurs. I kind of agree with some of the reports that the Spurs aren't interested because Trae isn't a Spurs system player, which I do agree with. But, I mean, he is one of the best playmakers in the game, if not the best playmaker. I mean, talk about a guy that averages 25 and 12 playing alongside Victor. Could be tough, but does he take away from Vassell and Castle and all these other guys, right? That's something with him just being so ball dominant, so heavy on ball. It's a question at least worth asking. But again, how do you feel? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you love the moves? Do you hate the moves? Somewhere in between. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.